comes to number three, we use a different color over here, which is traffic. Okay, so if you have a question, here's how it works. All you need to do is to do a virtual hand raise. I think after attending the event, you're probably very familiar with how it works. And my team will pick and we'll go through all of the different virtual hand raises. So, what is a good, so not all questions is going to be created equal, okay? Now, the quality of this Q&A is going to be highly dependent on the questions, okay? So, the quality of your questions will determine the quality of the answers. So, what makes a great question and what is that's going to be beneficial to everybody and what's not that great of a question? A good question would be a high-level strategic question, and a question that is not going to be beneficial to people. It would be a low-level tactical. Now, what's an example of a low-level tactical question? Low-level tactical question would be a question whereby if you did a 3-second Google search or on a YouTube or Google on it, it's going to give you like 10,000 videos and links and resources on how to do it. Okay, so for example, a low-level tactical question would be like, Peng Jun, how do I install a Facebook pixel? Right? How do I open a Facebook page? Right? That would be an example, classic example of low-level tactical. Why? Because if you put that on a Google search, you probably have 100,000 videos showing you how to do it. Okay, so if you guys have any questions, try to keep it to strategic, and try to begin with your question, whereby you're going to start off your question is, my question is with regards to making an offer when it comes to the funnel, when it comes to traffic. And let's keep it pertinent to messaging. Why? Because if it was about any question about online marketing under the roof, you will hear till 2023. Okay. Yeah. So also one last thing is if you guys have multiple questions, pick your best question first. Because for the purpose of being fair to everybody, that's number one. I want to be able to rotate and answer as many questions as possible. Okay, so if you guys have any questions, you can go ahead and do that virtual hand raise, and we can begin this process. Team, I'm not sure if we have we do have the feature is enabled. Okay, so first person we have is Milon Mia. Milon, welcome. Tell us where are you from and what is your question?
I'm from Bangladesh, currently living in Australia. I wanted to ask, I just started out most recently. How do I make it so my cost per lead is as low as possible through, say, Facebook ads? Is there anything I can do to improve, more click-through rates and things like that?
Okay, great. So the question is on regards to click-through rates, cost per click, cost per acquisition. What can we do in order to decrease the cost of acquiring a customer or the cost per click or cost per lead? Okay, a couple of things. Number one, the most important thing, okay, is obviously with regards to your message. And the first part of your message is really, is there a good compelling hook or some sort of pattern interrupt that stops a person in their tracks, so that they actually give you that initial 3 to 5 seconds. Okay, so think about when it comes to your cost per click, cost per thing, cost per view, cost per lead, cost per sale. The first thing when it comes down to bringing that cost down is really just, well, am I starting that piece of content with a good pattern interrupt? So this comes back down to your thumbnail, your headline, your video borders, right? What stops the scroll? Okay, that's number one. Next one, the thing that is going to determine whether you can drop your cost per click is your audience targeting. Okay, when it comes to targeting the right audience, this is crucial when it comes to bringing down your cost per lead or cost per click. So most of the time, the mistake people make is that it is too generic or broad. What you want to do is you want to go from broad and generic to being specific. Okay? So how do you utilize good targeting strategies to bring your cost per lead or your cost per click down? By thinking about, rather than having just a generic audience, okay? So rather than saying, I want to target people who love e-commerce. I want to target people who love drop shipping. Now that would be generic, and while there's nothing wrong with that, one way to bring it down is to drill down that audience so that you can utilize message that is specific. So for example, a generic ad would be targeting people who like drop shipping. A specific ad targeting audiences that is a lot more qualified would be targeting people who like Shopify. Okay, so notice the difference. If I were to create an ad, let's do a quick demo over here. Okay, an average marketer would start off with targeting people super broad. Okay, which is today in this video, I want to be able to show you how you can sell better if you have a dropshipping business. Specific would be if I'm targeting people who like Shopify, notice the messaging that will be different. I could start off with my video literally at shopify.com, okay? And I would say, right now, if you own a Shopify store or if you are somebody that sells on Shopify, then this video is going to show you how you can increase your margins significantly by understanding these three techniques. Okay, so because of that, the message and the hook is a lot more specific. A person feels like you're really talking to them rather than just people like dropshipping. Okay, so for example, another example. Okay, I can keep going on. This would be like, rather than targeting people like online marketing, right, which is what most people do, I will target people who would like, say, for example, ClickFunnels. Same thing here. I would start off my hook with, if you're somebody that is marketing utilizing a tool like ClickFunnels, then today in this video, I'm going to show you how you can effectively scale and sell more utilizing that software. And because you are speaking that world and because you're targeting and utilizing messaging that is a lot more focused to that market, that is going to drive down the cost per click. Now, to keep going on with other factors, and of course, this could be like how entertaining or shareable that video is. Cost per click, if you are running an ad, if it is shareable and people are tagging their friends and they are liking and commenting, so it's all about the engagements, which is the like, comment, and shares, that would also drive your cost per click down. But I would say that, in the context of a 3 to 5 minute answer, I'll focus on these three things to bring down your cost per click. Helpful? Make sense?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. So guys, as we go through this Q&A, here's what I would like you to do constantly. Okay. So the Q&A could be, because it's focused on these three things, right? Hopefully you're writing down like what are some of the takeaways that you're learning through somebody else, so that you would be able to leave this session with like an actionable to-do list, rather than just sitting in passively, listening. Okay. Great. So next person would be Elena Harris. Elena, team is unmuting you right now. Elena, where are you from, and what is your question?
Good morning, Ted. My name, this is Yelena. I'm from Sri Lanka. My question is this. I'm just starting and I'm absolutely new to this whole system. So I would like to start with affiliate marketing. Later on, I will be developing my product. But for the moment, it's going to be affiliate marketing. And I was thinking about doing not the paid promotions, but just kind of post promotions using Facebook. So my question is, how would you advise me to structure the messaging in Facebook in order to drive clientele to, say, a certain page or another post where the actual selling will be for the affiliate marketing?
Well, Nina, your topic is your question is still a little bit broad. What are you thinking about selling festive?
Yeah, I'm looking actually, partially I'm looking for some programs like your ones. Actually, I was hoping to get into affiliate business with you. But at the same time, I was also looking for some digital products, like certain types of programs and things like that. So there are two things to start with. One is your kind of products and probably books and that you write, and probably restaurants and that kind of area.
Okay, well, when it comes to promoting an affiliate offer, it really just comes back down to what is the conversation that needs to take place in order to meet where your audience is at right now, okay, so that they can see that value of that product, program, and service, and they end up being over here, okay. So think about that message as that conversation. Okay, so this is the before. Okay, where perhaps they weren't aware of the problem, or perhaps they weren't aware of the solution, or they weren't aware of the product. So depending on their level of awareness, it could be they didn't even know there was a problem to begin with, or they knew the problem but they didn't know what the solution was, or they knew what the problem is, knew what the solution is, but they didn't know what the products is that's available out there in order um, to decide and commit to which product, program, or service would earn. So the first thing to think about is, well, how can I create content, whether it is through ads, whether it's through organic, whether it's through YouTube, whether it's through Instagram, so that I can bring them from where they're at to the end result where they can finally see that the solution to what it is, the problem that they're facing, is that product, program, or service, whether it's a physical product, digital product, or software. Okay, so how you think about the message is based upon their before, right? Are they unaware, problem aware, solution aware, product aware? And what you'll do is you'll craft that piece of message, whether it's Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, so that once they are aware of the problem, once they're aware that that's a solution to the problem, once they're aware that there is products out there that helps them with that solution, that is when they buy. Okay, so in the market that you want to go into, so whether it is some sort of marketing offer, the first thing that you gotta do is you gotta first start committing to getting good at this. Okay, I would say that rather than saying, you know what, I just want to get into affiliate marketing, I want to promote these products. The way to get good is to first start looking at, well, who do I want to serve and what is the result I want to help my audience generate. Okay? So niche down, think about that audience, think about their current problems, their struggles, and create content where the outcome to that problem or solution is that thing. Okay, so for example, let's say you want to promote a software that helps with Instagram scheduling. Okay, and let's say this software pays out 20% recurring a month, every single month, as long as this person continues being a member. And let's say this software is $47, so you get $10 in commissions every single month as long as the person continues being a member. So let's say this software that helps a person with Instagram scheduling and publishing content is the product that you want to promote, right? Lots of training programs, software, okay, this is a random example, okay? So if let's say this is the product, you gotta think about, okay, so back to this person, what are their current problems or struggles, and how can so it's not about promoting your software, okay? This is just the end result. When I say you gotta get good at this, you gotta really think about, how can I craft the message that truly understands the person's problem first? Because this is just the answer, right? The problem is, well, I'm overwhelmed every single day. I know that Instagram is important, but I just don't know what to say. Well, the problem is, all these gurus tell me that I should be publishing my face off, but I'm just overwhelmed. I don't know how it is that I could be publishing 3-4 times a day, without driving me insane. Well, the problem is, but I don't really know what to say. I don't know how to caption my stuff, right? Whatever it might be, right? Think about the problems. So the solution is perhaps you gotta be able to schedule your content in a structured way and plan in advance, right? Solution aware. So in order to make them product aware is there's this software that actually helps you plan and schedule social media well. Okay, so whatever product that y'all want to promote, physical, digital, software, service, just think about really understanding where your audience is at so that you can speak their language. How do you do that? By really going deep and being good in understanding where they're at, so that you can help them get to that desired result or outcome. Okay, make sense, Elena? Okay, perfect. Okay, so real quick, guys, before I move on to the next question, just let's take 10 seconds. Let me know in the chat right now, what is the main problem your audience is facing, and just let me know in the chat right now so that you can start thinking about how you can create content around that problem, right? Where the thing that you want to promote could be your own product, could be somebody else's product, is the solution to that problem. Okay, let us know where you're from and what is your question?
Hey, I'm from Florida and staying up late for you, but this is good. So I was looking at some of your funnels. You had me look at the proven presentations, and one of the things I'm trying to do is to add all the one-time the OTOs, but I noticed that some of your funnels don't have them and some of them do. So what is the thinking behind when to add, when to go deep in those, and when not to?
Okay, great question. So when do you have a one-time offer or an upsell, and when do you not have one? Okay, so I would say that a lot of front-end funnels, so if I were to kind of compact that answer, it would front-end funnels will usually have some sort of OTO. So what's a front-end funnel? For example, lead funnel. Somebody opts in, then in order to liquidate your ad cost, you'll need to have some sort of OTO. A front-end funnel would be like a free plus shipping funnel. Somebody buys this $7 product. This $7 product is not going to enable you to break even at the very minimum. So that's when I would have an upsell or an OTO. When would I have an OTO? For example, a virtual event. A virtual event that could be low ticket, right, would have an OTO. However, when would a funnel not have an OTO or an upsell? When it is mid or high ticket, right? So for example, a webinar funnel would not have an OTO because it's already a mid-tier pricing, $1,000, $2,000. An example of another funnel that will not have an OTO would be, for an example, application funnel, why it is to offer a high ticket, right? So high ticket, mid-tier will usually not have OTOs. The funnels that will have OTOs is anything that is low ticket, because you need that to either break even or to have some sort of margins to be able to acquire the lead for free. So that's where I would draw the line.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome, Kate. Next person we have is Aaron. Welcome, Aaron Loon. Team is going
Hi, Adrian.
Hi, Aaron.
Yeah, I'm from the real estate industry. So I just need more of a clarification in terms of, like, I remember the first day of the training is about creating the video script of this question, then intro, then pitch something, then common mistake, then call to action. And then later on you share about creating ads that is based on hook, story, offer. I'm just a bit of like confusion in terms of like how these two actually complement each other, or is it a different script? Because I try to create Facebook ads using the video script that I mentioned, the first one, and it didn't work well in my Facebook pattern interrupt video promote trying to get leads, you know. So I just need clarification on that.
Okay, so let's try that out. Let's practice. How did that video sound like? And I know that you might not be able to remember, but give us the rough gist to how that video started off when it comes to that ad, and then I'll show you how you can polish that up.
Okay. So my script I written. Should I tell the script? Is it?
Yeah. Walk me through that script, and I'll show you how you can improvise on that script.
Oh, okay. So wouldn't you agree that property is not cheap? Yet everyone has a dream property.
Aaron, right now I'm just seeing a blank screen. If you can switch on your video so I can see how you're presenting, it'll be good. Okay, cool. Go ahead.
Okay. Oh, because I was trying to read from the script.
Oh, right. I get it. Okay.
Is it okay? So that
Yeah. Okay, fine. Go ahead and read from the script.
okay. Wouldn't you agree that property is not cheap, yet everyone has a dream property or dream house to go for, right? Hey, I'm Aaron Du here. I help home buyer to get quality living and ideal first home and location to live in. So it's well known that landed property is more valuable than owning a condo over the long run compared to a condo space. And it's important for you to understand that owning a landed property is not for everyone. Why? Its initial spending to do up the landed house is very high. And this is why what many people didn't tell you is that moving in cost, renovation, furniture, fittings, and etc. to a landed property is way higher. That sometimes potentially cost more than 100,000. And it's common mistake of first home buyer is they tend to miss out that that the cost of moving in and maintenance of a lifetime of a house and bad things to happen. So it will be more cost saving for people to buy a non-landed property. So if you are watching this, you would like to know what new property is good to buy and suit your income and lifestyle, click on the sign up button below. Me and my consultant will give you a free loan assessment and to know more what is suiting your needs.
Okay.
So I was trying to follow that video script. So that is roughly my.
Okay, great, Aaron. Now, first of all, can the script be improvised and polished up? Everything can always be improved and polished up. But I know that this would be definitely good enough to get started. How many of you would say that this video script was pretty structured and well thought out, right? Okay, great. Okay, so I know that, wording wise, we are good to go. Of course, so that's like the science of it all, right? So I believe every presentation is both science and art, right? So what you have got out, that's a science. So that is science is the structure, it's the framework, it would be the layout and the presentation. Okay. Now what we need to work on next is the art. And what the art is, this would be like how entertaining it is, your charisma, right? Being in the moment, being natural, practicing so that it doesn't sound like it's scripted. Okay, now that's all art. And what you want to be able to do is to also practice the art, okay? And then after that, okay, so that's the next thing you practice. Okay, so science, as good as it gets, can always be improved on. Practice on the art and the delivery next. Now, once you have that down, then next thing is all about understand. When you say it's not converting, what is your current cost per lead based on this ad? So right now you have this ad, you're running on Facebook, right? And then you're sending people to this page so that they can enter their details, right? So the first thing that we need to know as part of the sales process is what is your current cost per lead? What would you say it is?
It's $30, about $30. But sometimes that's why I notice sometimes the ads drive up to $50, and I was freaked out.
Is this in US dollars or in different
ringgit.
currency?
Ringgit Malaysia.
Okay, so just to give you guys that's not in Malaysia, rough gauge, that would be, so 30 to 50 ringgit would be about $8 to about $12, okay? Which, by the way, is not expensive. And here's why, okay? Whenever somebody says my cost, it's not converting, my cost per lead is high, I always say, well, in comparison to what, right? Because $8 cost per lead, I can tell you, and of course this, varies depending on different markets. Cost per lead in a market that is hobby or in a market where it's not money related would be considered expensive. But in a financial market, $8 to $12 cost per lead is not expensive. Here's why. The answer is always because, in comparison to what, right? You see, yes, we can work on the ad and the targeting to make it more interesting and shareable. And that may drive the cost per lead down a little bit more. But the truth is, how much more, if you think about it, how much more can you drive this cost per lead down, right? And in the financial market, I will tell you that yes, you can bring it down more, maybe 25, 30%, maybe 50% if you really hit home run with a very small target audience, but not really at scale, okay? If you are spending $1,000 a day, right, to maintain this at scale, it's tough. So we need to understand that, yes, we can make this more interesting with better targeting to drive this thing down, but I can tell you that right now, based on this number, that would not be the priority. Why? Okay, so imagine this. I would like you, based on your sales process, okay, so imagine this. Out of 100 leads, okay, so how does, guys, notice what I'm doing in Aaron right now. We are walking through the process and the steps of the business model. Okay, we need to understand, guys, please write this down. Please write down what the weakest link is in a sales process. Okay, and that's what we're finding out next. So imagine this right now, right? So you're paying, let's call it just $10, just to average things out. Out of 100 leads that you get, based on what it is that you're doing, based on past experience, based on statistics, give us a very rough gauge on when somebody gives you their details here, how many appointments do you actually get? So somebody enters their name and email, but then how many actually gets on a meetup or a call? So after this, what happens? Do they get on a call with you, or do they meet up with you? What happens after this? Walk us through that sales process.
So, not what happens is people register. It will go to. I don't have a sales funnel yet. I'm still using the Facebook lead generation kind of registration. So what they register, after that, then I will do a call up. It's more of like an application funnel. So I will call up with them. Is this something they are looking at and suiting their requirement? Then from there we will make an appointment, and from the appointment we will meet up offline in the showroom or. So that is the process.
Okay, great. So notice that there's 2 steps over here, right? So right now, Facebook leads, no funnel yet. Okay, great. You know that is one of the things that we need to work on. But notice that on the next step over here, right? So there's 2 more steps, right? So the next step is they get on that call. After they get on the call, some of them might meet up in person. Okay, and after they meet up in person, there would be a handful of them that would want to actually buy and invest in that thing, right? In the property. Okay, so the next thing that we need to do is, now that we have listed out the steps in the sales process, which by the way, all of you could have a different market, different sales process. It could be a webinar, it could be high ticket, it could be application, just like this one. Okay. The next thing we need to do is we need to forecast. Okay, guys, write down the word forecast. We need to forecast and see if this was the amount that we're paying based on our current numbers, what actually happens? Is this a viable thing at scale? And if it's not viable, what's broken and where do we need to fix it? Okay, so imagine this, okay? So right now, the next thing that happens on a call, roughly out of 100 leads that you get, how many right now, percentage-wise, do you think is going to actually get on a call? ballpark number, if you were to give a rough estimate, out of 100 leads that you got?
Okay, the amount of leads because of the spending size that I have, it's 50 leads. 50 leads that will be translating into getting into the call. I mean, that will be about 10 calls. The actual call who actually pick up or an answer call who are actually serious. So that it's 10. Then actual visitation, that's only about 3 or 4.
Okay, so I'm going to show you how you can improve on a few things. Okay, so you have 50 leads, of which not everybody will answer a call. That already is a problem over there. We'll talk about what that is. Even though 20% is not bad, okay, out of the 20%, you'll say, out of 10 calls, did you say about 3 would meet up in person? Is that it?
Yeah, okay, you can take 4 easier. 4
Okay,
lead,
4.
4 visitation, yes.
Okay, so 4 visits, okay, so 4 meetups, and out of the, so which is by the way, approximately 25%, and would out of your experience in your career doing what it is that you do, out of 100 people that you meet in person when they actually go to that property, what are the odds of what's your close rate when you meet somebody in person at a specific property that will usually result in a sale based on statistics, based on your past numbers, based on your experience? What if you were to put a number attack? Do you have a number like this?
Yes. All right. The optimistic will be 2. It's the low tie will be about 1. One out of 4. You know, because we see
Wait.
this 4.
Oh, that's not percent. That's 1 out of 4.
Yeah. So easy.
Okay.
So
So
4
you're
visits.
saying that if somebody meets up in person with you, 1 or 2 out of 4, which is a 25 to 50%.
Yes.
Okay, so okay, and a typical sale, which I know might be hard to gauge because there's low-end properties and high-end properties, but if you're to put a rough commission to a sale, what number would that be, you think, like on average? A typical sale. We just
On
need to put a
average.
number there so that I can do a forecast.
8,000.
Is that in
Okay.
ringgit or US dollars?
In ringgit will be 2. In dollars will be 2,000.
Okay, so 2,000 US dollars. Okay, so typical commission sale. Okay, so what we need to do, and by the way, notice guys what I'm doing with Aaron right now. This is something all of you guys need to be doing. You notice what I've done so far is Aaron initially thought that the problem is the cost per lead. How do I drive down the cost per lead? The next thing we're doing is we're drilling down deeper to really see what the problem really is. Okay, is it a problem with the offer? Is it a problem with the funnel? Or is it really a problem with traffic? Every time I say this, right? Every time when I am looking at something in my business that's broken, I'm trying to identify, is it the offer, is it the funnel, or is it traffic, right? So initially, when Aaron came here, he thought, the problem is traffic. Let's explore to see if the problem really is traffic, okay? So now that we have mapped it out, we know that we're paying about $10 cost per lead. Then the next thing we need to see is, well, if things, so this is the question that all we need right now, right? If things were to continue at status quo and we were to blow it up, what happens? Okay, so that's what all of you need to do, okay? And this is what I do my team, this is what I do my mentees every single week, which is, well, okay, so if let's say I spend $10,000 on this current scenario, what's going to happen if we were to sustain these numbers? Okay, so let's say we're paying cost per lead $10. That means if we were to spend $10,000, okay, we would get $10,000 ad spend. Okay, so imagine spending $10,000 spent. How many, guys, real quick, how many leads would I get? This is not rocket science, but how many leads would I get? Real quick, let me know in the chat right now. Aaron, what's the number?
1,000.
Okay, 1,000 leads. Okay, so all I'm doing now is I'm just forecasting, just imagining if it was a bigger number, what actually happens, right? So 1,000 leads, if I have 20% get on a call with me, What does that mean? That means that I would have so I want to see is it really is it broken, and if it is, what's broken, right? That means I would have 200 calls. 200 calls. That means that if 25% came to visit me, that means I would have 50 visits, okay, 50 appointments. I guess it's 25% of this. And out of the 50 visits, if I close, worst case scenario, in your words, 25%, that would mean 1 in 4. So that means I would have about 12.5 sales. So let's just call it 12 sales, okay, because you're gonna have half a person. So multiplied by $2,000 per sale, okay. How much is that? That is 24K USD in sales. Okay, so the first question that we need to look at is, if these were your current numbers, then Aaron, the next thing that you need to ask is, well, what is stopping you from just spending more right now and let the numbers run itself?
I'm not sure about that because my experience was not because this was my first experience attending your course, and from the ads, doing it pattern interrupt and things like that. So in the past, I try to increase the amount of spending in the ads, but it doesn't translate directly into the result. So that's one question. I'm not sure. So now I've learned about ads using pattern interrupt and the video scripting. I saw that, yeah, I saw that the leads drive up, but no leads at all in that kind of situation. It's like 50 amount, 50 ringgit spent, but there's no sales. So I kind of doubt whether is the video not interesting or the video is just not catchy enough. But there are a lot of people click. There's a link click, but there's no lead generated. That's when I stopped.
Great. Okay, so what you need to do, okay? So what you need to do to really determine if the problem is the ad, now that you have mapped this out, the only thing that is going to stop you from going heavy in this is if you don't believe that somewhere along this step here that the number is accurate, right? Because that ultimately, in theory, these are the numbers that you tell me, right? But the only thing that is going to stop you from saying, you know what, I'm going to spend $100,000 over here, is if you believe that something in here doesn't reflect what's actually happening in your life. So what you need to do, Aaron, when you leave this call, is you really need to think about what is the thing that you feel is not right about this, right? Because if you know with absolute confidence that this is historically your numbers, then you will not be hesitant to pay $10 per lead over here, okay? Because here's the thing I'm trying to get you to see, is that yes, you could spend your time, focus, or energy making better ads that is going to reduce the cost per lead. But I'm here to tell you that even if you did focus on that, you can at most drive it down by 50%, and that's still a stretch, okay, especially in the financial market. So rather than spending that time, money, focus, energy, I would say the fact that you can already get a $10 per lead, it is to really work out and see what the weakest link is, and it's maybe over here, that you feel is not a reflection of this, okay? And work on that weakest link so that it's going to give you that confidence to continue boosting this, okay? Because if this is what's happening on the back end, then you should not be hesitating to just continuously spend $10 to acquire a lead if this is not happening, right? So here's the summary of it all, okay, guys? Please write down: the person who can afford to pay most to acquire a customer will win, right? The person who can pay most to acquire a customer will win. Can Aaron spend his time, focus, energy in making better ads, better pattern interrupt, polishing it, making more interesting, making more viral, so it lowers its lead cost? Absolutely, right? But it always comes back down to, well, what is my lowest hanging fruit that I can do this week that would give me the most returns based on the limited time I have, right? And I'm here to say that that priority is not in ads or targeting, because even if you did bring it down by 20, 30%, it's not going to change much. Why? Because you still need to work on the other steps. So Aaron, conclusion, you can work on this, but that's not a priority. The priority is work out the numbers, really take a look at what the broken thing
It's
is, build
the
up
last
funnel
number.
so that you're able
He's not
to
closing that
improve
rate.
these. I mean, I could drill down and talk about how we can improve all these things, but I think we'll spend quite a bit of time over there in order to give you clarity on moving forward. Yeah, Aaron,
Will you-
does that help?
Yeah, just last question. Will you advise to create a sales page funnel, the website? You know, you click funnel will work better.
Oh, 100%. Whenever you have a funnel, I mean, whether it's on ClickFunnels or whatever landing page software, it does not matter. But ultimately, you need to have a sales process to capture the lead yourself so they can nurture it, because that's how you build a long-term sustainable.
So that's when I will use the hook story offer in the sales funnel website as well.
Not necessarily, that would be like a typical sales video. Hook story offer is usually great for ads.
Right. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome, Aaron. Before we move on to the next step, okay, how many of you?
I just have a quick question about ads. So I'm curious what the shortest amount of time you recommend we run an ad before we determine if it's working and we should scale it, or it's not working and we need to turn it off and do something different.
Okay, so how do we know if something is working when we turn it off? I would say that there's two things to look at. One, which is basically what Facebook and the platforms want in order to determine whether the sample size is large enough. And number two, which is what it is you want. Okay, so let's talk about the platform and then you. Okay, so for platforms like Facebook, Google, or any type of ad platform for that matter, for them to establish that there's a large enough sample size, it usually starts at 20 conversions. Okay, so what does that mean? It means that if you want to build a list, webinar, lead funnel, usually you need to have 20 conversions in order for the platforms to decide how they can find more of these similar audiences for you. Okay. Same thing for sales. If you have, if your metric is a $50 sale, a $100 product, a $200 product, then Facebook wants to be able to see that anything less than 20 conversions, you'll notice that the pixel is still learning. They're trying to still learn to find more of the same people. So based on what the platforms want, the platforms will tell you minimum we want to have 20 conversions to determine if to get a large enough sample size to determine what is the cost per lead or the cost per sale. Okay. However, the answer for you and each and every one of you could be different. Why? Because the time you hit 20 sales, you could be bankrupt by then. Okay, because you could be spending like thousands of dollars to acquire a customer. So you can't just give what the platforms want. So for you, the answer could be slightly different. So usually what it is that we do in order to test an offer to see if it's converting or not is our initial budget would be 2 times more than the price of our product. So what does this mean? It means that if you're starting out a brand new campaign and we're going to test if it's working or not, if you're selling a $100 offer, to give it a fair chance to see if the ad is good, I want to be able to spend $200 in that campaign to be able to see if I can at least break even. Okay? And if not, then I want to be able to change something. Maybe it's the funnel, maybe it's the ad, maybe it's the targeting, maybe it's the messaging. Okay, so what the platforms want and what it is that you want or should be looking at are two completely different things. Okay, ultimately, for the pixel to mature, 20 conversions. For you, you want to be able to spend at least twice the amount of your price point of your offer in order to get a large enough sample size. So if my price point is $500, I want to spend $1,000 in order to conclude if this thing is actually converting or not. So that is how I look at it from both perspectives.
Right,
is that-
so then what does that mean as far as like, it's, okay, so say you're spending $200, do you do it for one day? Do you do it for 5 and spread it over 5 days? Like, how do you determine what the best course of action is on that? Because it can take Facebook, for instance, a while to figure itself out.
That's right. Okay, so great question. So the question is, do you spend a day, 5 days, 10 days? So I never look at it from days. I look at it at number of conversions, right? Because if it's not about how many days. So for example, if you spend $100, it really doesn't matter if you spend $100 in a day or $10 over 10 days. So it's all about the conversions that happen within that time frame. Okay, so think about it from not from how many days or how long it takes, but rather how many conversions in order for you to make that decision.
Okay. Okay.
You see, you still feel. I feel like there's still something that is not answered. What do you feel that
It's just, I think a lot of it comes from, like, do you put your money in your campaign under the campaign and just set it to run until you hit your conversion? Do you put it in the ad set where you're choosing, okay, it's gonna run for this many days and I'm gonna put this much on it per day because that's how it's asked, that's how the platform requests you do it. So I'm just trying to figure out like,
Okay, so
yeah.
this will be more towards Facebook ad targeting strategy and not so much about the messaging, which is what is the core focus of this.